Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to another Zombicide unboxing. This is for the Comic Book Extras Volume 1. As you can see, I have a picture of a box instead of the actual box because how I ordered it, I ended up getting it without a box and just got the miniatures, which in the end, that's what I'm going to be using, so it's not that big of a deal for me. Unfortunately, it also means I did not get the 2 mission leaflets either. So I won't be able to show off what the missions are specifically for this. If sometime ever in the future I get a hold of them, maybe I'll show them off. I could not find images anywhere on the internet either. So if anyone knows where I can find pictures of what the actual missions are for the Comic Book Extras Volume 1, please let me know. So this will come with 8 brand new survivors. And it's based on they're kind of go with the story that comes with the comic book. The comic book tells a brand new story. And then these 8 survivors all have stuff to do in that various issues of the comic book. It also comes with 8 ID cards and 8 dashboards. The ID cards are for 2nd edition. The dashboards are for 1st edition. Because when this came out was shortly after 2nd edition was announced or coming out. So they wanted to make sure they included cards for both for people that were still only playing the older one. All future content coming out now only has 2nd edition stuff. Alright, so we're going to hop in and look at our survivors. Alright, turn that off. So, first up, we have Hobo. And we'll have to drop this down to get this to focus in on him. So, yeah, this is Hobo, who's the homeless man. Got a little satchel, he's got a crowbar. Nice action pose there. So we'll set him back down there, and then we'll look at what his card does. So we're just going to look at the 2nd edition ones, and then after that, I'll go through and I'll briefly put up the 1st edition, but they should be the exact same cards. But these ones are a little bit more compact to show off. So, to start off, he has Hold Your Nose as his basic ability. Makes sort of thematic sense with him, because he's got to be out kind of scavenging. He's not going to necessarily be like the cleanest person. So him dumpster diving normally for stuff, makes sense he's going to dumpster dive for equipment. So it says, the survivor draws an equipment card from the core deck only. So that's because you're playing 2nd edition, the campaign ones, which get you the army or White House ones, and you don't want to use those, or the more extravagant ones. When the last zombie, okay, you get survivor draws an equipment card. Remember, the last zombie standing in their zone is eliminated by any means. Them, another player, Molotov cocktail, they walk into a spike trap, whatever. It still works in any zone, even a street zone, and can be used multiple times the same turn. Do not consider this a search action. So that's really fun. So he's going to be able to search as long as someone in his zone, the last zombie, has died. So he gains bonus for kind of being up front and doing stuff. Then in his orange, he has Webbing and Destiny. Destiny is... I don't remember that one off the top of my head. Survivor can use this skill once per turn. When they reveal an equipment card they drew, they can ignore and discard that card and draw another card from the same deck. So that works really well with his 1st ability. You can basically kind of look for what he needs. Webbing lets you treat all cards that you're holding in your backpack as if they're in your hand. So you can dual weapons easier, or if you need to pull whatever out, you can switch up and do whatever you want. So it's kind of especially for someone that's finding a lot of equipment. And then red, he has 1 free combat action, Regeneration, and Taunt. Regeneration lets him go back to his full health at the end of each turn. So as long as he doesn't take more damage than he has health, at the end of every turn, he'll go back to 3 health, which is, definitely a helpful thing. And then Taunt is one of my favorite abilities. It lets you target an adjacent, or not adjacent zone, I think you can target up to 2 zones away. Target up to, for free, you can target up to 2 zones away from a survivor, having a clear path with no walls, barricades, or closed doors, to a spot with zombies. No line of sight is needed. So as long as they can get there, so it can be like around a corner, it can be through a building, as long as they have a pathway from you to the survivor, to him, you can taunt zombies. They get a free action to try and reach them. But then they ignore all other survivors do not attack them and leave zones that are standing if they need to reach. So it's a great way to either pull zombies off or away from your other players, or maybe lure them into a trap. Like we have some ranged guys that can shoot them, or some melee guys, but rather than wasting all your actions trying to move towards the zombies, you could pull a group towards you, even separate two groups. So if like you had two groups that spawned back to back, so instead of them moving in two chunk tiles at a time, you could pull one 2 or 3 spaces closer. That way you can deal with them one at a time versus like one group at a time, rather than all of a sudden immediately have another group right next to you. So taunt is a really fun ability. All right, let's head into our next character. We're gonna look at Jang, and we'll read through the card, then we'll take a look at her miniature here quick. I don't remember what all their different subtypes are. Usually like Jang something. Looks like she's probably some sort of fashion model, something like that. So she has Boring Leader, which is definitely a fun ability. You give a free action to another survivor, they immediately take it, and then you continue your turn. Great to like let somebody open a door if they ended their action. They're standing there, they can open the door for you, so you don't have to spend an action there. Maybe take out a zombie that got left over from somebody else or they couldn't finish. So many different options with this. Either setting up or finishing up something. She also has Destiny as well, but then she gets Tactician. Tactician's a fun ability too. The survivor's turn can be resolved at any time during the player phase, before or after any other survivor's turn. If several survivors benefit from this skill, choose their turn order. So just let her go whenever. So this works well with Boring Leader because you could have her purposefully go last. Then that way everyone else could have acted, then she can choose to where everyone is currently placed who to use Boring Leader with. Or if she like normally would have been the third player, you could have her go second, move her up, and then have her have someone else who's later on the board that's next to a door open a door, and then have the first player or her could go through, do stuff. So it's pretty cool. Gives you some good options. And then Red says +1 die for melee, +1 die for range, or Slippery. Slippery just means she does not have to spend extra actions moving out of a zone with zombies, or ignore zombies while performing move actions through them. So this gives her a really good thing. She can kind of help lead the team around, go where she wants to be. Being she has melee or range, she's not really dictated on what she needs to be doing there, and she can move around between zombies. So pretty interesting build. Like, not combat heavy, but like it's going to be a good support class. So then let's take a look at her miniature. She's wielding some, looks like double machine guns there. Plus it's such a interesting action pose too, where she's up on like 1 foot, almost like she was maybe like either running while she's shooting, or she was getting ready to do like a spin. She's also pretty crazy because she's in the middle of a thing, like, yeah, almost looks like she's spinning around, like she's firing these while she's in a circle or on the move. Definitely cool. All right, up next we have Harlock, who's a motorcyclist. So Harlock starts right off the bat with Slippery, +1 action in yellow, and then in orange we have Lucky and Bloodlust melee. Lucky lets you reroll any of your dice for every action you take, so whether it's anytime you take an action with dice, you get 1 opportunity to reroll them, which can be very helpful. And Bloodlust lets you use a skill once per turn by spending 1 action to move up to 2 zones containing at least 1 zombie, then gain 1 free action of a specified type. So it's going to let you basically spend an action to get a move action combination at once, which could be very helpful. And then plus with Slippery, if she runs in, kills a couple of things with that, she can move out for free. So that's definitely nice. And then in Red, +1 free melee action, +1 zone per move, and Barbarian. So yeah, she just can move around a lot quicker. And the Barbarian says when resolving melee, the survivor can substitute the number of dice of the melee weapon using like the number of zombies in their zone. So if your normal weapon would roll 2 dice, but there's 5 zombies, you can now roll 5 dice instead. So again, this could be combined very well with Bloodlust melee, or even Lucky, because you have 5 dice, you have a better chance to reroll for a better thing. And showing the back of the cards, like the back of the cards usually, if you're not from the second edition, usually you just have some of these keywords listed on them. It's not all of them, it's just some of the more lengthier ones. It's different because sometimes you read one card, you're like, oh, it's on here, and then another character has it, and it's not on that one. So it's not all their abilities, but it is a reminder. So take a look at her miniature there. So these are some really just cool poses, right? So her sword got a little bit bent at some point. So I'll have to try and like use some hot water or whatever to try and see if I can unbend that. But yeah, a little motorcycle helmet and gear. The chain is really cool with like the little weight at the bottom. Plus again, it's just that neat action pose. She's jumping in the air, like she's gonna like smash with the sword, maybe land and like lead with like hit with the whip, chain whip afterwards. So that's really cool. They're giving some really cool poses to these characters, versus everyone just standing there holding a gun. Which, speaking of that, we have a character just standing there holding a gun. So we have Marion. But she looks like she's probably some sort of, I would imagine, some sort of undercover cop. CIA, she looks like she has a little earpiece on, kind of hanging off, so she might be like a CIA agent. But she starts with a pistol. That's always fun. You just start with an extra piece of equipment. Pistol's maybe not the most powerful weapon, but starting with it is always nice. +1 to die roll, range, and lifesaver. Lifesaver will let you target a zone adjacent to you, and then as long as there's a survivor in there, you can pull them to your zone. This is just great for getting your friends out of harm's way. Or it could even be potentially, again, is like kind of like taunt in a sense. It's like set up like, hey, I have a melee guy in the next range. I have a bunch of zombies coming near me. I could pull them to my zone. Now I have the melee guy in my zone, so I can, do that. Or I can pull my range guy back a spot because maybe their range is, 1 to 2 range instead of 0 to 2. So they need to be back a spot so they can shoot, and I can do that in my turn. Then when their turn comes around, they don't have to waste an action movement. They can just fire. So some interesting ways to play around with those. And then Rag 1 free ranged action, Gunslinger, and Reaper ranged. So Reaper just basically, as long as you eliminate 1 zombie of a type during your action, you get to eliminate a free one at the same time. So every time she takes out at least 1 walker, she gets a free walker. She takes out 3 walkers, she gets a 4th one for free. Takes out a runner, she gets an extra runner. Really great if you can manage to take out like a brute. If you get a free brute out of it. Or 2 runners, that's very powerful. And then Gunslinger, I believe, is the gun version of Barbarian. Oh, nope, I am wrong. Gunslinger says, treats all ranged weapons as if they had the dual symbol. So that's cool. She just run around double firing all her guns. So definitely get into red. You can decide what you need. A lot of the same zombies, take Reaper. If you're not as worried, you can always get the 1 free range action, which might help. But this is kind of neat, because she's, the other characters so far have been kind of like, we have a melee character, now we have a ranged character, we've got 2 different types of support classes. So we're getting a good gambit of characters in this set, which is always really fun. When they make these little mini teams, I would call them, it's always nice when you get some good variation. Yeah, so she's kind of more of just a generic. Definitely like the coat hanging up is really cool. She's got the little pouches on. But yeah, I don't know why her gun is pointed at such a weird angle. I get they're trying to like replicate it, but it almost looks like she's not pointing it straight. She's pointing almost in the air, but that's all right. All right. Up next, let's have another interesting character. We have Julio to go with the rest of our other sports characters we've gotten throughout the years. I know we've had like football players and hockey players and stuff like that. So, and a soccer player in the Rio set. But yeah, like make a little sports team. That'd be a fun little theme to play as. So he starts with the baseball bat. Of course, he has wire razor around his. In orange, +1 damage with baseball bat. That's fun. You don't see that often, where a character gets extra damage or bonus for a weapon. But that means a baseball bat now does 1 extra damage. So as long as he uses it, it definitely works. But he also gets +1 die for melee attacks. In his orange, +1 zone per move. Ambidextrous and Dreadnought Walker. Dreadnought Walker means that he does not take damage from that type of zombie. So he doesn't take damage from Walker. So if he's in a zone with a bunch of walkers, he's probably going to focus on taking out the brutes and runners because the walkers won't hurt him. They can take out the walkers at his leisure. Ambidextrous treats all weapons as if they had the dual symbol. So, like, instead of just... It's kind of weird that it's just all weapons as opposed to being just melee weapons. But that's still not bad, right? Definitely be able to, if he has 2 baseball bats, imagine him running around between 2 baseball bats with 2 extra damage point each. That could be very, very powerful. And then 1 zone per move. I'm guessing that's probably supposed to be his athletic nature of running as a baseball player. Definitely cool. I was seeing if they had. Nope. I thought maybe they might have shown like the stats for the baseball bat. I'll try and grab them by the end of the video. That and the pistol so we can see exactly what they do. But here's his outfit. Or his miniature, rather. I said his outfit. Like, his outfit is torn, which is a nice little aesthetic. This is the downside about some of these miniatures, though. It's like this guy, like his picture looks better because it has like all the stripes and all that stuff on it, and like the blood on the baseball bat and all that. Once you take all them stripes and the team symbols and numbers off there, he doesn't look as cool, but you can definitely paint him up. And I do like the F42 on there. That's pretty cool. Alright, we are getting down to the last couple. We have Normans. We had a melee character and a ranged character. And we have another melee and another ranged character. So Norman here looks like he's probably some sort of maybe office worker. Not really sure what his job is off the top of my head, but he has low profile. Low profile lets him be ignored by survivor. Can't get hit by friendly fire when someone is shooting in the zone they stand in. So he can kind of be in a zone and not have to worry about the other character shooting him. So it lets him get up a little bit into closer combat. He also gets Hold Your Nose and Zombie Link. We saw Hold Your Nose before. Zombie Link lets him take an additional turn, not just action, an additional turn every time an extra activation card is drawn from the zombie pile. And they get to do this before other zombies. So it's kind of letting him get down in the trenches. He gets right in there with the zombies, and then he gets an extra full turn. In red, +1 action, Bloodlust, Combat, and Shove. We had Bloodlust melee before. This is combat, so it can be used for ranged or melee attacks. And Shove is the exact opposite of Lightsaber. Almost the opposite of Lifesaver. It lets you push a group of zombies 1 space away from you. So this is kind of like his sort of thing is, although it shows him having a gun, he's not necessarily a shooter, but he could get up and shoot some close range with some 0 to 1 shot weapons. He doesn't have to worry about getting hit, so if he's in there, you can kind of be right in the thick of it. And then with Shove, if he starts to worry about getting hurt or he doesn't kill everything, he can, his last action, just push all the zombies to the next zone. So then, as long as it's walkers or brutes, they would have to spend their 1 action walking towards him just to be able to hit him again. Yes, definitely interesting type of build. Alright, then let's look at his miniature. He's got this just casual suit on. Got a big giant knife. He's just kind of like leisurely, like, yeah, they come for me. I'll shoot them. I have to. I'll pull up my knife. It's like from the back, his hair doesn't look bad, but because I tried to make it sort of stand up, his front looks a little weird, not painted. Because his forehead looks a little big. Alright, so he's not necessarily my favorite of the set there for the miniatures, but he's not bad. Alright, up next we have Keiko. So definitely a different type of character here, because she looks like she's wearing some Japanese type robes. She has some big long ranged weapons. I really wish I wish more of these sets came with extra item cards, like specific for some of these characters, like because I love to see like one with like that polearm sword being used as a weapon. But she starts with breaking. Is she a thief? Maybe she's a thief. Survivor does not need any equipment to open doors. They don't make noise when using this skill. However, other prerequisites still apply, such as if you have to hit a green switch to open a green door, you still have to do that. More of a survivor gets one extra free action can only be used to open doors. So that's kind of nice. She can open them for free, but she also doesn't need to spend an action point to do them. Then she has Swordmaster and Webbing. So again, Webbing just lets you use items in your backpack as if they were in your hand. And then Swordmaster treats all melee weapons as if they were dual weapons. So we had Ambidextrous, which is any weapon, and then we had Gunslinger, which is just guns, Swordmaster, which is just swords or melee weapons. Yeah, so she's gonna run around brandishing 2 swords, where the other lady will run around with 2 guns. In red, 1 free melee action, Blitz, and on a roll of 6, +1 die for melee. So yeah, she's definitely your other melee character. And then she has Blitz, which is survivor can use this once during each of their turns, spend 1 action to move up to 2 zones where a zombie are within range of one of their equipped ranged weapons, and only gain 1 free ranged action. So, like we had earlier with, who had that? No, I can't even find that ability. I had the ability to run, not Bloodlust. Is it Bloodlust melee? Maybe it was. Anywho, yeah, so she can move up to 2 zones. Spending an action, she gets to move and attack, but instead of doing melee, she gets to do range. What's nice is because she has to be within range. You know, you might look at okay, but she has breaking, which might end up being a close thing. She has Swordmaster, she has melee things. Why would you want to use Blitz if she can do stuff with ranged weapons? And that's just because it gives you a different option. Again, this would have been neat if she had her bladed weapon here as a special item. That let you use a long range weapon as a ranged weapon, like because it could maybe hit up to 2 spaces away. That would have been cool. I know Zombicide White Death, which is the fantasy one, started adding pole arms, which can do exactly that. So that would have been kind of cool if they would have done that or retroactively added that into something like this. Even if you didn't have this to start with, you need to find it. That would have been kind of a neat idea. She could use a melee weapon as ranged. But unfortunately, that's what it is. Alright, but let's take a look at her miniature. She got a long polearm sword. And on the back, she's got 2 other, a katana and like maybe a staff. So she's all prepped for melee combat. But if she needs to, I guess she can always whip out a pistol. Alright, and then our final character is Diana. Who looks like she's just strapped for survival. She has a pickaxe, some tools on her. She has a handsaw, a backpack full of stuff. So she looks like maybe she was just ready for this. She starts with Medic. So this will be like another kind of support class, it looks like. Medic can use a skill for free once during each end phase. The survivor and all the survivors standing in the same zone may heal 1 wound, minimum of 0 wounds. Survivor earns 1 AP for each wound healed this way. So every turn, she can just go ahead and heal 1 point from anyone in there. And then she earns 1 survivor for everyone healed. So definitely keeping your team together, getting her next to everybody else is going to be super helpful. In orange, she has +1 die for melee or steady hand. So yeah, extra dice for melee is never bad. Steady hand. Survivor can ignore other survivors when missing with a ranged action. It still does not apply to effects, killing everything such as a molten cocktail. So this will let her shoot into a crowd and not have to worry about hitting her friends. So she kind of just, when you get to orange, you can decide, okay, is she going to be able to stay right next to her team and do melee action? Or is she going to kind of sit back and then shoot at guys from a range distance so you don't have to worry about your medic dying, and then maybe she has to run in afterwards, or her team can retreat back to her for healing. So it gives you some different options there. And then red, 1 free combat action. So again, she can use that for range or melee. Is that all you've got? And tough. Tough will let her ignore the first wound they receive each turn, and during friendly fire. So this will help her stay alive if she gets hit. And then, is that all you've got? Will also help keep her alive, because it says, this skill can be used anytime a survivor is about to endure wounds. Negate 1 wound for each equipment card from the survivor's inventory. So yeah, if you can discard stuff, this can definitely help keep you alive. And this works really well if you kind of combine some of these guys together. Because she can stick with some of the melee characters that could do some help keep her alive, stick with the ranged characters. But she could also, like, you have Hobo, who's finding items left and right, and then they could kind of team up, and then she could keep getting the weapons, and that way she could run in, try and heal guys while they're up front. And if she ends up taking a hit of damage, she'll ignore it with tough. If she has, is that all you got, she can instead just discard these extra items that nobody needs. So she could maybe be like the item mule, like, hey, give her, 2 or 3 items, have her run in, she can heal some of the melee characters or run over to somebody else, not have to worry about taking damage. But hey, they can trade, I got a automatic rifle versus your starting pistol. And then she can discard the pistol when she takes damage. So it's kind of an interesting back and forth you can do with a character like this. Let's take a look at her miniature. Oop, and we dropped her. Start the front side, maybe. Yeah, so she got that pickaxe, the bone saw. I guess those are all her medical supplies she's carrying with her. Again, kind of the action pose that she's gonna just swing at you with the axe, and then maybe come at you with the little bone saw. So I'm guessing it's probably like a medical bone saw. Alright. Alright, and although they're not part of the set, I did want to just show off some of the equipment cards that were mentioned. So we had the pistol, which was used by Marin. So she had starts with a pistol. So one of our starting cards is a pistol. So she can immediately then start with an extra pistol. That's basically what that means. So she has 2 pistols to start with. So she can dual wield her pistols. Which are really, makes definitely a lot better. 0 to 1 range, 1 die for 3 accuracy, but if you shoot with both, you get some extra stuff. So that's definitely a cool thing there. And then Julio starts with the baseball bat, which again is a starter weapon. So you can use that as his additional starting weapon. So that's very easy there. I don't know if it actually starts with. Survivor begins the game with indicated weapons automatically assigned during setup. So yeah, they automatically get that, but since it's already a starter weapon, I would personally say that means they get their regular starter weapon, then they can use this as well. It's not fair to be like, hey, you specifically have this, unless you're only assigning the weapons randomly. But yeah, so he starts with a baseball bat, but then he also had +1 damage with that baseball bat. So now that makes it a 2 damage weapon for 2 dice. So it's potentially 4 damage every turn. I would also, if I was playing, I would also call the nail bat a baseball bat. I wouldn't let you start with it, but I would count it for the +1 damage. It is a rarer weapon to get. It's in one of the pimp crates. So I would call this, because it's a baseball bat with nails in it. So I would say he would get an extra damage with this. We could make him 3, which would definitely make him super powered if he had this weapon. That is personally what I would do. But yeah, so that's just some of the stuff from the different games and campaigns. So the last thing I want to show off are the scooch this back a bit. Yeah, probably just readjust my camera. The big dashboards for classic Zombicide, or I guess first edition. So these are gonna work just basically like the other ones. If you had first edition, you can now play with these. But as you can see, like Norman, low profile, 1 action, hold your nose, zombie link, bloodless combat, and shove. He has the same abilities. They just instead they had this where you had to put little markers on there, that little tracker across the top for your adrenaline, and you put your cards right on the board versus having the big giant plastic holders that you get in second edition. On the back side, they're blank. So this is also kind of fun because it would let you also create your own characters if you ever wanted to. So that's kind of a neat idea there as well. So we'll just do a quick look at each one of these. We have Marings. I prefer second editions better. I like the little card holder. I like to have all my little things there. Have the pip, not go about bumping the card and knocking all my stuff up. Plus, your hand here can get kind of wily. But it's still nice that they included this. It's not like second edition came out and they're immediately just like, we don't care, we're tossing you guys aside. But it is nice, it's everything nowadays is going to be second edition, so all new content will only be that way. But if you have something like these cards, you could always take one of the new characters from one of the later campaigns or one of the second edition, flip these over, copy the picture on there, or write down their abilities. You could play them in first edition that direction. There is Keiko's, Julio's, Jang's, Hobo's, Harlock, and Diana. And 90% of any crossovers from first edition to second edition are exactly the same. There's very few differences. It's because there's some characters from Prison Break and Rumor, which are seasons 2 and 3 of the classic, had abilities that were tied to things that aren't in second edition, at least not yet. That's stuff for like piloting the helicopter, or using, I think another one was for using like some of the, there's another different keywords for stuff like that don't exist. And they didn't want to leave them on them cards and basically have these characters have abilities they can't use. So they got rid of them, but that means it's hard to say that means the second edition is ever going to come back and add those features back in. And then those character cards might get reprinted, or if they're just kind of like, nope, we tried them, we didn't really like them, or they didn't work how we wanted to, so we abandoned it. Not for sure, but that is what we have for the comic book Volume 1. Definitely neat to check out, get some extra characters. But at least now you know it's in there if it's something you want to pick up. Alright, see you guys later. Bye.